Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and this is my firing line. This is the online firearm show that is completely dictated by you, your questions, and your comments. Otherwise, I would be sitting here contemplating the idea of going out and doing some deer hunting today and possibly freezing to death in a tree stand here in Ohio. Thanks to everyone who joined, and I am sorry I'm getting things started so late today. You noticed that I did not have a Wednesday morning video, and the reason for that is because I produced the Christmas gift suggestion video that went live on Monday, and I wanted to put that out on Monday so it would correspond to Cyber Monday. I actually wanted to get it out for Black Friday, but with the Thanksgiving holiday last week and everything I had going on, it just didn't happen. But because of that, I thought I would go forward with the live stream today, and things just did not move as quickly around here this morning as I thought they were going to move. So I ended up starting a little bit later than I expected to. So I'm kicking it off at 8:30 instead of 8 o'clock, which is the normal premiere time. And I know we've got a bunch of you already here. Bill 1717 was in early. Jeff Tim, Roy Kiefer, although he said he was going to have to check out, so he might not still be around. Art Grote is here. Yamil Sued is here. Henry Schmidt. And Thomas White is here. Tactical Jackalope, Marv Turner, Dan AZ, Al B. Good morning to all of you. And according to the ticker over here, there are 20 here, 20 of you that have checked in so far. And as more and more people come in, definitely say hi and let me know how you're doing. Got an announcement for today, and this I have to tell you the story of how this came about because it's shocking to me. Yesterday, early in the morning, I woke up, and I normally wake up somewhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So I woke up and I'm going through my overnight comments that came in from the channel and everything, and I got to an email from John Goldberg, who chimes in here periodically. In fact, I don't see him yet this morning, but there was an email from him, and it said, "Congratulations on your nomination for the Gundy Awards." And I thought, what? I had no idea I had been nominated for this. Now, for any of you who don't know, I had never heard of the Gundys before about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. It's sort of like the Academy Awards for people that produce firearms content uh, in social media outlets. There are a lot of YouTube content creators on there. There are content creators from other platforms. I think they have some firearms writers that are part of this. So anyway, it's one of those things that I've just sort of known about and I never paid any attention to because I thought, I'll never be in that group. So anyway, I got this email from John yesterday that was congratulating me on the nomination, and I thought, what? And I didn't even know where to go, what to look for, or anything. So I'm telling Mimi about this, and she was more awake than I was at that point. And she's like, "Well, hey, you idiot, just Google Gundy Awards," which she had already done. And by that time, as I'm still trying to process the idea that somebody had nominated me for this, she had found it on her phone. And turns out I was nominated under a category of uh, most likely to survive the apocalypse. And if you Google Gundy's or Gundy's Awards, you'll come across the website and you can look at, there's a bunch of different categories for people in there. And then one of them is this most likely to survive the apocalypse. And I thought, how in the world was I nominated for this? And I didn't even know it. So when I got myself a little bit more awake, I came into the office here and got the computer fired up. And I found that website for the Gundys and I went through there and I still didn't know how I got nominated. So I started checking my email, and sure enough, somewhere over the course of the last several days was an email that if I got it on my phone, I must have just seen it and this is nothing and deleted it. But I actually read it on my computer, and it was congratulating me and saying you've been nominated for the Gundy Award. First off, by the way, I have no idea who nominated me for this. So if it's someone who's on here right now, thank you for the nomination. It was extremely unexpected. But if you if you go to this thing and you look at it, you'll see that there are a whole bunch of other people. There must be, I don't know, a dozen, maybe 15 people that are nominated in this category, and a lot of them have much, much larger channels with much a larger viewership. But it's a thing where you can vote, and I think the voting was open from December 5th until December 15th or December 20th. I don't remember exactly when it ends. But anyway, if you want to vote for me, you can go to the Gundy's website. You have to register in order to vote on this thing, but you can go there and you can vote for whoever you want to vote for in these different categories. As best I can tell, you can only vote for one person in each category. But like I said, this is all new to me. I don't have any realistic expectation that I'm going to win one of these awards. The award ceremony, I think, is on January 20th, and it's out in Las Vegas, where I probably won't even be able to get myself to as far as that goes. I told Mimi though it'd be kind of cool because if you go there, you get to like walk down the red carpet, kind of like they do for the Academy Awards. And I told her she could get like this real, nice dress to wear, like you always see the Hollywood actresses walking down the red carpet, and I could get my best James Bond tuxedo. How cool would that be? But anyway, thanks again. If whoever the person was that nominated me is in here right now, I appreciate it a lot. Let's see what am I missing here in the comments? Marv Turner took 4 tries before you got in. Sorry about that. I have no idea why. Dan AZ, simplify to you. Al B, good morning to you. Roy Kiefer, Hitler's propaganda minister, called that the big lie. You must be referring to something farther back up there. I'm not sure what that is in reference to. Good morning, Travis. 220 Swift, good morning to you. Cold but sunny in South Carolina today. What constitutes cold down there? I know Mimi is from Columbia, South Carolina, and she talks about in the wintertime when it would get down to, I don't know, 65 degrees or something like that. She thought they were freezing to death. She has changed her perspective a little bit these days, having lived in Ohio now for 25 years or so, or maybe longer than that. Might be closer to 30 years for her at this point. Practice your reception speech. Oh man, yeah, I would be like the most fumbling, stumbling. I would sound like a presidential candidate if I was up there trying to ramble my way through an acceptance speech for something like that. uh, Fernand Landry, good morning from beautiful Giuseppe region of the east coast of Canada. Well, thank you for joining. Big Shug is here. Howdy to you. 220 Swift, I put a nomination in for. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I don't know if it's just a single person or multiple people had to nominate me. I found something on there where they were talking about the criteria, and it was kind of vague. It said the channel had to have a certain viewership and a certain number of subscribers and a certain number of videos and all that kind of thing. But it didn't say what any of those things were, at least nothing where I was looking. So apparently I've reached whatever threshold there are for Gundy's to be nominated and be in consideration for that award or one of those awards. Roy Kiefer, do they have an always honest category? I did not see that when I was looking through there. Yamil, buenos dias to you. Full camo for the red carpet walk. I could wear a ghillie suit. I haven't had one of those on for a while. Marv Turner, my computer is acting wacky. Mine was acting strange this morning too. So maybe there was some sort of cyber attack. Maybe that's why it took me so long to get things up and running today. Jeeps Cafe is here. Good morning to you. Marv Turner, it's 30 degrees. I don't know what the temperature is here. That is cold for South Carolina. I know yesterday I walked outside and I think it was 26 and the wind was blowing, and oh man, did it feel cold here. Yamil, it's 50 degrees in the Phoenix area. I wish we had 50 degrees here. And the weird thing about Ohio weather is it changes so quickly. Just a couple of weeks ago, actually the week before Thanksgiving, we were in the 50s, mid to high 50s for daytime highs, and it was dropping down into the 30s at night. And then just boom, all of a sudden it's cold, and we've had snow the last few days. Not a lot of snow yet, but we've had some snow. And just and I think there's something about this time of year when it first starts to get cold, and I don't know if it has to do with the humidity or what it is, but it just feels colder. By the time we get to, say, March or thereabouts, if we have a day that's 28 degrees, 32 degrees, it's not feeling too bad out. And I know some of that is just becoming acclimated to the colder temperatures during the course of the winter. But I think there's something else too, because it just has a different feel this time of year when the temperature first drops. Floridian, good morning from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Tactical Jackalope. One of my favorite things during the season is to get to the range on Christmas Eve because I'll have the place to myself. Yeah, that's probably true. I'm a little surprised it's even open on Christmas Eve. Joseph Paul is here. Good morning to you from Southwest Ohio. Thank you for joining. 11 degrees in eastern Canada. Ooh, keep that up there. Although I think it's probably coming this way. I think that's part of the reason our temperature dropped is the wind started coming more and more out of the north. Loves Dogs 1954 lives right off the lake. He's you probably couldn't quite throw a baseball from his front door and have it land in Lake Erie, but you could come pretty close to it. And he gets that wind coming down off the lake. And when I talk to him at various times, it's even more inhospitable up there with that heavy wind coming from the north right across Lake Erie than it is down here. It gets buffered a little bit by the time it gets here. 28 degrees. It's probably, I don't want to mess with this because I don't want to lose my feed here. But it's probably in the mid to high 20s here, I would guess right now. But I can hear the wind blowing outside. Wyoming Gun Project is here. Thanks for joining. It's called old age when the temperature drops. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I know that hibernation thing, Roy. I think Mimi and I went to bed last night at 8 o'clock or 8:30 or something because it was just cold and dark and the bed was nice and warm. So that seemed like a good place to be. So at least I'm well rested today. I did wake up at about 4 o'clock ish or thereabouts, but I'd slept for 8 hours by that point and I felt pretty good and I feel pretty good now. And I'm working on about my third cup of coffee here. So all is well. Jeeps Cafe have reloading components and supplies dropped in price yet? A little bit that I've noticed, and I've got to admit that I have not been watching that closely because when they shot up, uh, whenever it was back during the pandemic, um, I- it became so expensive to reload. When I'm looking at $120 for 1,000 primers, I just kind of lost interest in it. I thought I can buy loaded ammunition for about what I'm paying for my reloading components, um, and not invest all the time that it takes to reload my ammunition. Now, there are some other benefits to hand loading. You can tailor your ammunition specifically to your firearms, and particularly with my match rifles and things like that, I can try to tweak my accuracy. So you do still have that, and I've got some components left for that purpose, but I have not bought reloading components. I can't even remember the last time. I'm not sure if I bought anything, any powder or anything like that during 2024 because the stuff has just been so darned expensive. And as you mentioned, it's even difficult to find. Which reminds me, I have got several items that are going to be featured in videos coming up soon that I have been waiting on for quite a while. Uh, in fact, there were several of them, a couple of firearms and some other things that I thought would have been here already, but they've been delayed for one reason or another. So I've been waiting. I think I'm going to get some of those items today. I was hoping to have a few of these in the Christmas gift video because there are things that I have used, and there's one of them particularly that's going to be featured in a giveaway. I had some conversation back and forth with the manufacturer, so I'm going to have a Christmas giveaway with this item. And I think because it was delayed getting here, now it's supposed to be here today. I got a tracking number. It's supposedly going to be here today. So what I'm planning to do is another probably out of the normal schedule video. So instead of a Wednesday video or a Saturday video, this is probably one that is about as soon as I can get it produced and get it up. I want to get the information out there because in order to give this item away and have it to somebody in time for Christmas, I'm not going to probably be able to plug it into my regular schedule. So watch for that. Watch for that notice coming up. It might come on a Thursday, it might come on a Monday, might even come over the weekend. I try not to have things released on Sunday unless it's a really specific thing. But if you get a notice on a day that you don't usually see one of my videos coming out, there's a good chance that it's going to be that video. So watch for that. I do have, like I said, quite a few other things coming. I've got a replacement scope. If you saw the review that I did on the Discovery Opt 1 to 8 by 24 EDAR scope, I've got a replacement coming in for that. Overall, I thought 75% of the performance of that optic when I had it was very good, but there were some issues with the optical clarity and specifically trying to focus the reticle in that scope. I was having a difficult time with that. And when I would change power settings or magnification settings, even if I had it pretty close to being focused at, say, 8 power, if I dialed it back to 1 power, it was fuzzy again, and I had to mess with that focus. I've had some conversation back and forth with the folks at Discovery Op, and that might be an issue with that one specific scope. So I'm waiting to get this replacement, which I think is also going to be here today. And I will be able to evaluate that one and determine whether or not that was an issue with the scope that I had before that is not indicative of the entire line or of that entire type of scope, or if that's something that's going to be across the board with those. So, and I'm hoping that's just something with that one individual scope. I always like to be able to report to you folks that everything is great and the object or the item that I am looking at performs exactly the way it's supposed to. The folks at Discovery Ops seem like nice people, so I hope for the best for their products. So we'll have to wait and see. And their more powerful scope, the 5 to 25 that was in the Christmas gift recommendations, that thing kind of amazes me for the price point and all of the features and the uh, performance of that optic. I was kind of blown away by it. So I know they're capable of making good things, and I'm hoping for the best when I get this replacement in. We got some other things coming from Optics Planet, so you'll be able to see those coming up in the not too distant future. And I don't know how the schedule is going to run throughout December. I've got a lot of stuff, just like all of you. A lot of things with Christmas shopping and Christmas get-togethers and all that kind of thing. So it could be that some of these run over into 2025, and maybe I'll kick off the year with some of those items that just didn't make it into calendar year 2024. We'll just have to kind of wait and see how that all goes. And I'm sorry, I've been ignoring comments again. Bob, it's 43 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida. Wow, that's cold for down there. Mark Hankins, Zero Dark 30. I don't know what you're replying to or responding to there. Yeah, Tactical Jackalope talking about the powder coming back. Yeah, and I've seen that, but again, we saw powder basically double in price. Oh, actually, more than double now. At $60 to $65 a pound is about twice what we were paying before this whole thing started, which to me is just ridiculous. It's just insane. And every time we see one of these things, and we've seen it over the course of the last 20 years, this must be the third or fourth time that we've seen this happen. Every time we see one of these droughts and the prices shoot up, they never come back down to where they were before. For whatever reason, that just never happens. So I know we're never going to see 1,000 primers for 25 or $30 again. We're never going to see a pound of powder for 25 to $30 again. We're never going to see bullets, depending on which one you're buying, back down in that same range. This stuff is, whenever it all the dust all settles, we're still going to be paying more for it than we did before this whole thing started. That's what always happens, and it's annoying. Matt Lowry, war in Ukraine in the Middle East is consuming huge amounts of ammunition, probably why prices stayed high. I You always hear that. You always hear that the supplies are going to military ammunition and going to loaded ammunition. Keep in mind, the ammunition companies are not real big fans of the idea of hand loading because they make more money on loaded ammunition than they make on components. So if there's a way to say, um, oh, gee, sorry, we just can't get you the components, or it's all going into loaded ammunition. But you can buy our loaded ammunition. They do have a economical interest in selling loaded ammunition as opposed to hand loading components, and that could also be part of the reason that that price never seems to settle back down, because they're going to make as much as they can on the components when they sell them, since you're not buying loaded ammunition. Marv Turner, mailman just left a package on the carpet. Must have dropped it because there's a glass jar. Ooh, well, that's too bad. Joseph Pauls, they seem to have a great scope. Yeah, like I said, that 5 to 25 power scope. There are some little things, and I think I said this in the video. If that was a $1,000 scope, there were some little things I would have been a little bit more nitpicky of. But for $300, and I don't know what they have them on sale for. There's probably some sort of a pre-Christmas sale for those optics. But sub $300 and all of the features and all of the performance of that optic, I was really impressed by it. And I always have to qualify that and say, I don't know if it's going to last as long as something that costs substantially more. I don't know about the construction techniques and methods and all that kind of thing. It could be that maybe the much more expensive optic lasts whatever 20 years, and that one for sub $300 lasts, who knows, 7 or 8 years or whatever. But for the price, you could buy another one. Well, and truthfully, now that I think about it, they have a lifetime warranty. So if you have a problem and it falls apart, just like this situation I had with the 1 to 8 by 24, I got a hold of the folks from Discovery Opt. They had me send it back. They sent me a shipping label. Back it went. They had somebody in California. Now, of course, Discovery Opt is made in China, but they had a whatever, an office or part of their organization in California is where I shipped it to. Excuse me. They looked it over there, and after that, I had some emails back and forth. They are now sending me this replacement scope that, as I said, is supposed to be here today. So if you have a problem with it, when it's got a lifetime warranty, I would say contact the manufacturer. They may well just replace it, and you're back in business still for your initial investment of 300 bucks and whatever time it takes to go through the warranty and get the replacement and all that. So I don't know. With optics back in the day, and when I say this, I'm winding the clock back to 1980s and 1990s. There always used to be this philosophy out there, and it still exists in large part today, that you get what you pay for, the old buy once, cry once, and all that kind of thing. And I don't know that that necessarily holds true today, because you can get so many of these lesser expensive optics that really perform very, very well for paying substantially less than you might get a say, whatever, name the more expensive brand that's out there, Zeiss, Schmittenbender, whoever. Um, oh, I can't think of the other one that they used to sell just right up the road from me here. March scopes, something like, whatever, something that you're going to be paying $4,000 for these days or something like that. So many people, uh, I've talked about this in the past, and I hate to be repetitive, but I think it bears repeating. So many people believe they can buy a certain performance or a certain outcome, I guess, if you will, that if you spend, say, whatever, $10,000 on a rifle system, that it's always going to allow you to achieve a certain level of performance. At some point, you reach a point of diminishing returns with regard to your investment, and you're shoveling more and more money into proportionally less and less significant advancements in terms of performance, at least in my opinion. Um, Now, if you are an absolute top level precision shooter or competitive shooter or whatever, then maybe that little bit more you get with that really expensive firearm or optic or whatever, ammunition, what have you. Maybe, maybe that's going to make the difference for that extremely high level shooter. For what I'll call the average shooter, and I would put myself in that category, by the way. Um, I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily going to allow you to perform significantly better, at least not until your skills significantly improve uh, by investing that super large amount of money into whatever firearm or system we're talking about. And again, I am missing comments over here. If I miss your comment, I apologize. As always, just if I happen to go past it and I didn't answer it, feel free to repost it, because I'll try to catch it farther on down here. Dan AC, have you ever done a review on a Bad Ace tactical scope mounts? Been looking at them for my Milsurp Mauser. No, that name brand doesn't sound familiar to me at all. Tactical Jackalope, there's supposedly a shortage of nitrocellulose. Really? That's a new one. I don't think I'd heard that. And if so, why is that? Why is there a shortage of that? Roy Kiefer, Supreme Court entrance proclaims equal justice under law. Yeah, and it's like the little subtitle, it's small print underneath there. Unless, of course, your last name is Biden. Scott from South Carolina, Vortex Strike Fire 2 for $99 at PSA. Cool. Yeah, and I've over the course of the last year, I've had a number of what I would call value line or high value optics come through, um, and they've been performing really, really well. The Sileys, I had one from Oh, the Maverick 2. Who made that thing? The brand just went out of my mind. But it was the Maverick 2, the AR style, red dot sight. I've got some Votatus downstairs right now that, I've been waiting for these firearms to come in because I wanna put those sights on those firearms to be able to test both the optic and the firearm at the same time, but I'm still waiting on the firearms. But, a number of those, and the magnified optics, whether it's from Hilux, who of course I've had a long relationship with. I like their products a lot. I recommended their 1 to 8 power CMR in the Christmas gift video. But whether it's them, um, the Discovery Op folks, their scopes seem to be very good. Or well, the 5 to 25 seem to be very good. The 1 to 8 mostly was pretty good, but I had a couple of issues, like I talked about, with the blurring of the reticle. Um, I had the one from CV Life, and the CV Life scopes are extremely inexpensive, and that thing performed well. I've got it over here beside me, off camera, on another rifle. Just I got to go out and zero it one of these days if it ever gets warm enough to be able to tolerate going back to the range. But yeah, I've had a variety of these high value optics over the course of the last year, and I haven't had one yet that's fallen apart or given me any problem. Uh, for whatever reason, the Olight O-Sight, uh, right out of the bat or right off the bat, got some bad reviews out there, and some of them I think unfairly so. I've got I think 3 O-Sights right now, all on different firearms. Actually, there's one of them that's not on a firearm at the moment, but they work well. I've yet to have to recharge one. In fact, I got to check the one on my shotgun. It's been charged. It was initially charged in May, and I've been waiting to see how long it's going to take to run down. And I mentioned in the Christmas gift video that I don't use it every day, but I've used it periodically, and every time I pick it up, it obviously activates the sight because it's got the shake awake feature. And the last time I checked it, it had about a third of a charge left. So we're at coming up on 3/4 of a year since the thing was charged, and I still haven't had to recharge it yet. I think that's pretty impressive. But yeah, the O sight has worked well, and those are only what are they going for? Around $200 for a rechargeable uh, optic, and you can now get the 1913 rail adapters for them, and you can use that. That's what I used to mount the one on my shotgun, or you can put one on an AR and use it as an auxiliary sight or whatever. Monstrum. You know what? I think Monstrum is one of the companies. I've talked about this before. I get these emails uh, pretty routinely. On an average week, I probably get, I don't know, 5 of them or something like that, and it's for all different kinds of products, and they all start out the same way. Hey, we've watched your videos on YouTube. We love your presentation. Blah 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 blah. We would really like it if you'd review one of our products. And based on what the product is, that tells me how valid that first sentence or two is, because I'll get weird stuff. I got one in recently for perfume. So, first off, how do you review perfume? Yeah, it smells good. Secondly, that's not at all what my channel is about. So there's no way they watched any videos or know anything about it. That's just the standard line that they put on the emails they send out. I got them for, oh man, I've had clothing. I've had like kitchen items, like toasters and things like that. Trying to think of some of the more weird ones that I've had come through. But I think Monstrum might be one of the ones, and I do get firearms related ones, of course, too. Monstrum might have been one of the ones I came through and I looked at, and I just decided to pass on it. Um, but a lot of the things you see, the CV Life, the Discovery Opt, um, a lot of the things that I featured in the Christmas gift video, the Three Pigeons backpack. What else was in there? Well, my relationship with Olight came around as a result of one of those emails where Depending on what it is and what I decide when I look at the email, if I click on the link and I go to the website and I look it over and I learn something about the company, and if I think the product first off has to be interesting to me, and something that I think is going to be interesting to all of you, um, and that's when I start to look into it, and maybe I'll respond to the email. I always, when I send my reply back, tell the folks that, they have to understand that if I'm reviewing this product, I'm not doing an infomercial. I am not going to have them send me something and I'm going to just say, oh, this is the greatest thing ever and you need to buy it and whatever else. My video is always going to reflect my honest opinion. A little behind the scenes story here with that 1 to 8 power discovery opt. Um, I if possible, I try to send the manufacturers a link to the video before it goes live on YouTube. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to like pull the rug out from under anybody or blindside them or anything like that. Uh, that I'm not going to change my video unless I should probably qualify, unless they say, "Wait, you screwed up. You didn't realize this or that was the way something worked or whatever." Then I might. If I realize that I did something wrong on my part and I go back and I look and I go, "Oh yeah, I did screw that up," then I might go back and redo that video. But I I might have done that once, and I can't even tell you what the product was. But anyway, sent the video link back to Discovery Op folks, and they were like, could you not release this? Could you hold off because we want to send you a replacement? And I said, well, I'll wait until you get done evaluating it before I let the video go live, just because I want to know. If you tell me that one was messed up, then what I'll do when I get the replacement in is I'll take a look at that one and I'll see if it's different, and then I can go back and either re-edit the original video and I'll do sort of a qualification at the beginning and say, the performance you see in this video was reflective of the first optic that I reviewed, and when I got this one in, it performed better and whatever else. Or probably more likely, what I'll do is just a second video and say, okay, the first video you watched, you saw this. Here's how this one does, or whatever. But anyway, uh, I always make it known that I'm going to let all of you know what my actual opinion and it's going to reflect the actual performance that I saw and everything else. But anyway, that's kind of the way that whole thing works with the emails that come in, and I'm not alone with that. Siley Optics, that was another one that got started with some emails going back and forth, which I've been pretty favorably impressed by. Truthfully, the Siley Optics that I've used have been done well. So, I know one other thing I wanted to mention about that whole thing. A lot of these companies, when you see the discount codes, what they'll do when they send me an item to review, they'll say, we'll also give you a discount code for your viewers, and we'll offer you a commission for every time somebody uses your discount code. Then they're linking that back to me in the video and everything else, and we'll pay you a commission of whatever 5% on every sale or something. And I always tell them, I don't want that sales commission. I do not want a sales. Because that starts to feel to me more like the infomercial thing, like they're pay. Then all of a sudden, I've got a vested interest financially in giving something a good review, because then the more of you that buy it and use the discount code, then I make money. I no, 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 no. Don't want any sales commission. I always say I want the discount code because I want to be able to pass that on to my viewers and save them a few bucks, because the channel is all about all of you. It's not even really about me. I've said this before. I'm kind of like the tour guide. I decide which direction we're going to go and what sites we're going to see and things like that. But all of you are the ones that make the trip worth taking. You're the ones that make it fun. So it's never about how do I make more money and try to pull the wool over your eyes and things like that. It's always about what kind of content can I bring to you? What kind of information can I convey? Can I produce an entertaining video that all of you are going to like watching? It's not about lining my pockets, and it never has been. Now, I got to be able to make some money in order to be able to keep doing this, which is what I rely on the ad revenue coming in from YouTube and the channel members and all of that. So that's where I come from on this whole thing. And I kind of wish more folks that produce these videos would explain that so people understand it, because again, that whole sales commission thing, I don't like the way that feels. It feels like people are paying for a certain type of review, and I am not doing that. Anyway, back to all this. But I do get to keep a lot of these products, so be aware of that. Um, Over the 12 years that I've had the channel, I've actually gotten to keep a handful of firearms that have been provided to me for a review. Less than half a dozen. I'm going to say 4 or 5 probably firearms over the course of 12 years. But the a lot of the optics and the accessories and things like that I do get to keep. Where are we here? Because I'm babbling and I'm not paying attention to anything any of you are saying. And I'm backing up here to try to catch some of these. And I'm just going to okay. There's the one that Tactical Jackalope asked about the Monstrum products. Uh, some of you talking about, and I'm going to try to skim through these quick. Uh, Slippin' Jimmy, I mean, to be fair, if we were a president on the way out, we pardon our kids too. Problem is just that he said, and that's I don't want to weave too far down this rabbit hole, but I couldn't care less about Hunter Biden. Don't care when all of this was in the news months ago or however long ago, where he's being indicted and one thing and another. I said then, this is not going to change the Joe Biden presidency. It's not going to end anything. In fact, had it done so, we'd have had Kamala as president, for crying out loud. But it was just noise. So I just never cared about that. The only thing that catches my attention about this is how blatant Joe Biden was about saying, no, I'm not going to do that, and then turned around and did it. If he'd have been a little less emphatic back then and said something like, well, we'll have to wait and see how the justice system or the legal system handles this. You know, I'm not going to make any comment right now. We'll have to see what happens in the future. If he just said something like that, something more along those lines. But to be so direct and say, no, I'm not going to pardon him, and then turn around and pardon him, that. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I just thought I'd touch on it because um, Slip and Jimmy made that comment. Tactical Jackalope, Olight says they already have a revision coming out on the Oite. They actually issued it, and I don't know if this is what they were talking about or what you're referring to or not, but it's available now in a desert sand finish. So if you look on there, both the green and the red Oite, now you can get either black or they come in that I don't think they call it desert sand. I think they call it tan or something like that. So if you want to have that color, you have that as well. I'd really like to see it, and from what I understand, I just got an email from Oite. Was that today? Yesterday? Sometime I was reading it recently. Of course, once again, they're in China, so the email comes in overnight. I don't see it till I'm half awake in the morning trying to figure out what somebody sent me over the course of the last however many hours. But they are going to spin Oite off into its own entity, sort of. It's still going to be, I'm sure, under the Olight umbrella, but it's going to be handled kind of like a separate company. But I would really like to see them put that in a RMSC footprint. I would love to see something like a circle dot reticle with that. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that develops. I mean, they only bridged that platform or that type of product not even a year ago. I got the pre-release Osite came to me in May. So probably about this time last year, they were first starting to experiment and conduct tests on that and whatever to have something actually in production by the time May came around. But yeah, I think that probably is going to expand dramatically. I think it's been a good product for Olight, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. uh, wow, we got to figure out how to say this. L. Haley Music. I hope I'm saying that right. With regard to affordable scopes, I recently purchased a Blackhound Optics 6 to 24 by 50 for $203 with a discount coupon. You can see 400 yards clear as day. Very impressive. Yeah, it seems like the clarity of optics has improved. It used to be if you got a really inexpensive optic, the light transmission wasn't very good. You got kind of a murky, dim image that wasn't very good. And it seems like a lot of companies these days are using that extra low dispersion glass, so you get a really bright, clear image. Um, and after that, it's just a matter of making sure that mechanically everything does what it's supposed to do and doesn't do what it's not supposed to do in order to turn out a good optic. And I'm going to try to skim through these because I am way behind. Bob, why would you want a rechargeable optic when the internal battery goes dead and you can't replace it? Because it has a lifetime warranty. So if the internal battery ever completely dies, I send it back and get a whole new sight. And that's part. This is basically an ongoing test with these O sites to see just what kind of battery life we're going to get out of them. Vector Optics. I'm sorry, that's the one that I couldn't think of that made the Maverick 2 uh, that I reviewed a while back. And I am zooming down through these comments. Travis, update on a third generation Smith& Wesson question from a couple of weeks ago. I went for the model 1086 over the 9mm SSV. Uh, after you gushed over it, I had to buy the TAO and love it. And have several of the 9mm. You have several of the 9mm series. All right. Well, good. I'm glad you like that. And I really do like the DAO Smith& Wessons. I think I said this before. When Smith& Wesson designed the double action only metal frame pistols, they reconfigured the trigger system. And actually, if you ever look at a double action only Smith& Wesson, the trigger sets farther back in the trigger guard than the standard double action single action triggers. So it's almost like it's a third of the way through the trigger pull, making it a shorter, and it feels lighter because you have more leverage on the trigger to begin with. And that really, I think, is the way all of the DAO handguns should have been designed from the other manufacturers, like H&K, like Beretta, like SIG, like whoever. But normally what they did is just took out the single actions. You had that long, heavy double action pull on every single trigger squeeze. And the Smith & Wessons were definitely head and shoulders above that. Slippin' Jimmy just recently subscribed. Well, thanks for the subscription. I appreciate it. And we are approaching 76,000 subscribers. So thanks to all of you who have subscribed at any point, but definitely thanks to all of you who have subscribed recently. Ben Crane is here. How you doing, Ben? Jeeps Cafe. Yeah, yes, perfume, believe it or not. Don Fernando, hello from Germany. Thanks for joining, Don, all the way from Germany, which is where my ancestors came from. In case anybody was wondering, Funk is a German name. I think it sounds pretty German, at least it does to me. My son actually went to school in Germany for a while, and I want to say he visited a town there where the Funk family name was known, and there was a statue there, statue of a German soldier from, I don't know, somewhere back in the Middle Ages or something. And there was a resemblance. I was looking at that statue and thinking, you know what? I might be related to that guy. All right, that was really strange. I have no idea what happened there, but all of a sudden I got kicked off the live stream and actually out completely out. I had to re-enter. That was really odd. So I don't have any idea of why that happened or what happened exactly. But let me get back here to where I was. Ben Crane's got a question here. HR Funk, I recall you mentioned once that since taxpayers have spent money for your training, you felt a duty to give back knowledge to the community and appreciate your. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I particularly when I'm working or when I'm producing videos where I'm talking about training tips or I'm talking about uh, armors type topics where I'm doing maintenance on firearms or whatever. I've said that many times that I was the beneficiary of a great deal of very, very good training during the course of both my time in the military and especially my law enforcement career, all of which was paid for by taxpayers. So when I produce those videos, I feel like I'm sort of repaying that debt, if you will. So that is always something that's in the back of my mind when I am especially working on any of those type of videos. When I'm doing product reviews and things like that, I suppose that comes into it a little bit just because of the knowledge and experience I have, but definitely when I'm doing something that's more training related or I guess when I'm in teaching mode is the way I can say that. Jeeps Cafe is on its way to work. Thanks for joining, JC. Have a great day. And some of you are talking about the Gun Control Act of 1968. Tactical Jackalope, have you ever considered a collaboration with another YouTuber? I have considered it. It's just never happened yet. And there are all kinds of logistics involved with that. First off, it would have to be somebody that we were compatible. I mean, I don't think I could make a video with. Well, I won't mention anybody specifically, but there are different personalities and different presentation styles and one thing and another. Some of those probably just wouldn't mesh real well. You know what I mean? Um, so there's got to be that compatibility, I think, to begin with. And then there's also the location physically. Some of the people that I wouldn't mind doing a collaboration with are located in other parts of the country. So trying to get together somewhere would also come into that. Trying to come up with something that would be interesting for people to watch. I wouldn't want to get together with somebody and say, "Hey, here we are together, and aren't we cool?" And gee, you'd be cool if you were here too. But yeah, and then try to make a video out of that. I would want to have some I don't know, some sort of a plan or a video in mind that I thought was going to be interesting for all of you to watch, not just me and some other guys slapping each other on the back and saying, "Look, this is great that we're here together." So I mean, yeah, I would like to do that. There are some people that I would very much be interested in producing a video with, but it would have to be the right circumstances to be able to do it. Uh, LaHaley Music, how long has a fully charged O-site battery lasted before needing to be recharged? I'm still waiting to find that out. That's what I said. I charged up the first O-site that I had in May, and I'm still waiting for it to run down to see how long it's going to take before it needs to be recharged. And whenever that happens, by the way, I'll post some kind of a video, at least a short, if not a longer video to talk about how long that took. Funk equals radio in German. Really? Really? No, that's not true, is it? HR Funk, are you on a Mac? Yes, I am. I'm almost completely Apple with all of the products that I use, whether it's the computer, which is an iMac, my phone is an iPhone. Oh, by the way, I if you saw the last live stream, I've figured out a way to use the camera in my phone rather than the camera on the computer. My computer is from 2019, and while it still works pretty well, the camera is definitely not it doesn't produce as high a quality image as the newer cameras. Now, my phone is brand new. This is an iPhone 16 that I got a couple of weeks ago. And the camera on it is phenomenal. In fact, I've been using it almost exclusively for my videos that I record in the shop and some of the videos that I record outside because the camera is so good. And I've now figured out how to use that when I'm producing the live stream. So I'm looking at my computer. I have my full size 27-inch display in front of me, but I've got the camera or the phone rather mounted up at the top. So this is the camera that's looking at me. And the image that I'm seeing here is much, much better than the image that I used to see when I had just the computer uh, camera that I was using. So hopefully it looks good to all of you. This is probably what I'm going to be doing with my live streams from now on. Slip and Jimmy, you deserve 1 million subscribers. Well, thank you. I always say I'm just happy for the subscribers I have. It just it's humbling and surprising to me at this point to have so many people who have hit the subscribe button and so many people who have watched the videos and commented on the videos and participated in live streams and everything else. Because when I started this thing in 2012, I didn't know that, and I think I probably started it at that time like a lot of people who posted videos at that time. It was just sort of a ha fun hobby sort of a thing that I never really had an expectation that was going to grow into what it has today. And for the first couple of years, that's the way it was. If you go back and look at those real early videos, many of which are still up, there's if you go back to the channel and go all the way down through all the videos, you'll see some really early HR Funk videos. And it's sort of me out at the range talking about whatever I'm doing, or very amateurish reviews that I'm doing on various things. That they're hard for me to watch these days. But slowly, what I noticed over time was people were subscribing, and more people were subscribing. And a couple of years into it, around 2014 or thereabouts, I thought, I should really start to take this maybe a little more seriously and actually try to improve my production quality and my presentation style, and maybe try to get a little bit more variety into what I'm doing onto the channel and all of that. So even though the channel existed for a couple of years before that, 2014 is where I really started trying to be a little bit more professional with what I was doing with my productions. Now, all of you can judge how successful I've been over the course of the last 10 years at actually improving my professionalism. But that's what I've been trying to do. That's been my effort. And it is so rewarding and so humbling is the word that always comes to mind, that so many of you have responded so well and so many people have subscribed to the point that we're almost at 76,000 subscribers these. And I always say we, because we're all in this together. It's kind of like in Family Vacation when everybody's trying to leave. I'm not in this by myself. You're all part of it too. Yeah, I don't know. I see the comments now. Everybody's talking about when the screen went blank. I don't know what happened with that. I was talking away, and all of a sudden, I was just completely out. and I clicked to re-enter the StreamYard software that I use, or the StreamYard system, had a thing there saying re-enter the studio. So I clicked on that and it brought me back in, and I everything was still here. So I, for the life of me, don't know what happened there. Telefunken was a radio brand in Germany. Wow, I'm learning things right and left here that I never knew. Marv Turner, Google says funk can mean radio among other things. All right. Grand Funk Rail. Yeah, it kind of gives a new meaning to Grand Funk Railroad, I guess, knowing that funk means radio in German. Huh. Chris 1911, I remember you doing a video about the 1907 sling on the 03A3. Yeah, I that video actually still gets quite a bit or quite a few views. If you're talking about the one where I was installing it on the rifle, it was actually I installed it on a M1A or a M14 variant. But a lot of people, when they're looking at how to install a 1907 sling, they'll do a Google, and that comes up on the Google, or not Google, but they'll do a YouTube search, and that comes up on the search. And I still get a lot of comments on that with people, thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. So that's good, and that, I always like that. I like those videos that people are able to refer to when they're trying to figure out how to do something, and they can bring that up quick, and they get something out of it. It helps somebody out. So that's always cool. A lot of the firearms maintenance videos are like that. I had one that I did really early on where I was talking about replacing magazine springs, and somebody just not all that long ago commented on one of those, that they were able to change the magazine springs and bring back the functioning to their pistol. So that's good. Henry Schmidt, enjoy the older videos, binge on them sometimes. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad they don't give you nightmares or anything. And at this point, I haven't looked for a while, but at the last time I looked, I have over 1,050 videos on the channel. In fact, it's probably getting closer to 1,100 at this point. Uh, if you figure the average length of those videos is 15 minutes, and I've got some of them that are over an hour, some of them that are only 5 minutes long, but if you think 15 or 20 minutes, do the math on that for 1,100 videos, and you figure out how many hours worth of content that I have up. uh, I can actually go back and watch myself age. I can see myself back the way I looked at in 2012 and hear the way that I sounded, and bring that all the way up to now, and the way I look now, and the way I sound now. So it's kind of amazing, and it's a different sort of medium, because if you look at, say, a Hollywood production like a TV show, first off, there aren't very many TV shows that run for 12 years. A lot of them run 2 or 3 years or whatever, and they're gone. But if you look at a really long running TV show, there are all kinds of people involved with that. There are makeup artists that make sure the actors, always appear about the same. They do all kinds of different things with the uh, video engineering and things like that. So the show always has the same look. With something like this, that's literally a do-it-yourself production, I don't have that ability. So you go back and you see me and you hear me the way I was back then. You see me and you hear me the way I am now. In however many years, you'll see me and hear me. I'll probably be wheeling myself out here in a wheelchair, or coming in with a walker or something like that, with a gun mount on my walker. How's that sound? Henry liked the LE law enforcement qualification video. Is good. Slip and Jimmy, have you had any experiences with the VA and medical coverage or anything like that? A lot of veterans have issues with being covered. I have not. I've never tried to access any VA medical benefits. I don't really know that I would be eligible, truthfully, because I don't have any sort of service related disability. The only thing I have, and when I was at the VA office for something different a year or so ago, this came up. I've got tinnitus. Um, and when I was in the Marine Corps, of course, being around, I was on Marine Corps air stations, so I was around very loud aircraft, uh, being out on the range, shooting, doing things like that. Yeah, could the tinnitus, to a degree, be related to that? I guess maybe, but I don't want to lie and say, "Oh yeah, I've got tinnitus, and it came from my time in the military," just to be able to get access to VA medical benefits. So I don't know. I've never accessed any kind of VA benefits. I don't know if I ever will, but I don't know. I don't have anything I can say about that. Mr. Goldenrod, the video looks great. Thank you. More water bottle desperate. Yeah, the water bottle desperados have been on vacation here for a while. Um, there are various reasons for that. The more stuff that I take with me out to the range, and especially nowadays where I'm using a range that other people have access to, it sort of curtails my ability to do some of those things. If I happen to be there all by myself, then I can do some things like the water bottle desperados, but I also never know when somebody else is going to show up. So if I'm set up on one end of the range where I'm doing, say, a handgun review or something like that, uh, I have to move to the other side of the range where I've got a place to set up the water bottle desperados. If somebody else shows up and they're already over there trying to move all my camera gear and things like that, doesn't always work well. And I can't monopolize the use of the range. I don't want to be. I don't want to impede anybody else's ability to go out there and shoot and enjoy themselves and all that. So I try to be as courteous as I can, and that's part of the reason you're not seeing the water bottle desperados as much. You might notice too when I've been doing the ammunition assessments lately that I'm using a different range for that. I've actually gotten permission from my former police department to go out and use that range a few times uh, because there, at least I'm able to, for the time that I'm there, I pretty much have that range to myself, and I don't have to worry about other people showing up, or as long as they don't have training or the department's not doing something there. But I have to be a little careful with that too, because I don't want to wear out my welcome there and have them say, no, this is taking too much time or whatever, so you can't use the range anymore. So I'm careful about not becoming a nuisance to my former department. Ben Crane's leaving. Have a great day, Ben. Glad you made it. Kyle Jackson is here. Hi to you. Mr. Goldenrod, you've earned the subscribers. Thank you. I appreciate that. And let me jump down here. Delaware Dave, the VA claims always use an accelerated. Wait a second. What? Always uses an accredited veteran service officer uh, with a major veteran organization like the VFW, American Legion. You know what? I'm not a member of the American Legion or the VFW, but I keep thinking I should join one of those. It would be kind of fun to be in there with other veterans, I think, and be part of an organization like that. I've just never gotten around to doing it. And we've got both both of those close by here. I'm not 100% sure that I qualify for the VFW. And maybe one of you can help me out with this because I just don't know. Um, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was activated for Operation Desert Storm, but I did not go over to Saudi Arabia. I've told this story many times before. I got uh, um, orders back into the Marine Corps, shipped down to, well, in process back down at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, but then they sent me basically to the other side of Jacksonville to New River Air Station to replace Marine MPs who had been sent over to the Gulf. So I never served overseas during that conflict. Now, I saw something one time about the VFW where if you had served in Korea for a certain period of time, then that also qualified you, probably because the Korean War never really ended. And I was in Korea for about 6 months, but it was a deployment that while I was there, so I don't know if that qualifies, since I was actually, my duty station was, Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, Japan, but I was deployed to Korea for 6 months. So I don't know. I've never known that for sure, whether or not I qualify for the VFW. I think I would qualify for the Legion. Or I got to try to figure that all out. Slippin' Jimmy, Hickok 45, and HR Funk collab would be a big draw. And I like Hickok. I've met him. I've talked to him a few times at the NRA annual meeting. Nice guy. He every once in a while he chimes in on the live stream here or one of the videos. I think that would be kind of fun. If you ever seen Hickok, he is. I don't know just how tall he is. He's got to be 6'6", 6'7", something like that. So it would be like he would be like towering above me. I'd have to stand on a box next to him or something like that, so that we would both be in the camera view together. But yeah, Hickok could be fun to have a video, especially if we could shoot at his place down there because he's got all the stuff set up. Is that a full size K bar behind you? Yes, it is, and that's one that I bought. I had one of those when I was in the Marine Corps back during the 1980s. I bought it from the Marine Corps Exchange at Cherry Point, and I had it for a while, and it was cool. I liked it, but then I got into a situation where there was a bunch of my friends that were going to go out. I needed some money. Basically, I needed beer money. So I sold it to one of my friends with the idea that I was going to buy it back at some point. Well, of course, that never happened. So he ended up with my K bar, and I never had it back. So I didn't have one for, I don't know, 40 years or something like that. And this one I finally bought a year or so ago as a replacement for that one. But that is a actual full size K bar hanging back there, which now with my better camera you can actually see. Chris M, everyone's experiences are different. Scary stuff, chemical hazmat exposure. Yeah, and that's something else I wonder about. I've told this story before too. At least I think I've told it. At the at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point, when I got there, they were trying to improve flight line security for the entire base. Basically, they were trying to seal off the flight line and the hangar area and the aircraft from the rest of the base. Prior to that time, it was all open. You could just go bebopping onto the flight line and walk out around the aircraft and stuff like that. Um, so prior to constructing a fence all the way around the flight line, one of the ideas somebody came up with was to put these 55 gallon drums in place and fill them up with water to use as a barrier to prevent vehicles from going out onto the flight line and things like that. So, of course, who do they choose? A bunch of brand new MPs that just showed up. And at Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point is, at least at that time, I think it's still there, the Naval Air Rework Facility, which is a big repair facility for Marine Corps and naval aircraft. And they have got a ton of equipment and all kinds of different things they use. One of the things they use are a bunch of different chemicals, solvents, and one thing and another. And they come in 55-gallon drums. So, in order to use these 55-gallon drums, a bunch of us dummies were chosen to go get these things, and we had to rinse them out of whatever chemicals. We had a special drain. Now we're not wearing any kind of special protective clothing or anything. No idea what chemicals were in these things, and we're rinsing them out and everything because that's what we were told to do. Marine, aye, aye, sir. So, and some of these things, when we would open them up, there was pressure inside. Something inside there had caused pressure, and it's whatever little bit of chemicals would come shooting out, and one thing and another, and still we're just washing away. So I have no idea what kind of chemicals I might have been exposed to. That's just some of the kind of things that happened back then in the Marine Corps. Marv Turner, tinnitus probably was least influenced by your time to serve. Yeah, I can't say otherwise. That's why I've never tried to pursue that. Henry Schmidt got tinnitus from lapel mics. Wow. Uh, in years of shooting. Yeah, which is where I suspect mine has come from too. Apparently I went back before or backwards in the comments here. Jeff Tim, the veterans organizations are a high variable at the local level. Ours here is pretty decent. Our local county veterans office is pretty good. Richard Williams just hit 7,000 rounds through your Gerson regard. Great running. Good. Good for you. HR writer's range would be great. Yeah, that would probably be pretty good. And he's not that far away. I think he's in Michigan. So that one, I have no idea if he would have any interest in it. That's the other side of that equation. It would have to be another content creator that would want to have me in the same video with them. I don't know how long that list is or how short it might be. Do services now wear hearing protection in the field? I don't know. We would be issued it. It was the little foam earplugs we'd be issued for different things when I was in the Marine Corps. I don't know if they're now issued more extensively than that these days, particularly in the field. What's your personal favorite choice for CCW? I carry so many different firearms for different reasons and different circumstances when I'm dressed differently. It's really hard to say what a favorite is. I mean, whatever I'm carrying at that moment is my favorite for that day and those circumstances. And that can change if I'm dressed with a lot of, heavy clothing today, might be one of my 1911s. In June, when I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts and things like that, it might be my 5-shot titanium cylinder J-frame Smith & Wesson 38. So it's always different. In church, a lot of times it might be my Walter PPK, because that's easy for me to carry in the clothes that I normally wear to church. So it's always changing. And it looks like I am caught up here, which is fantastic. That doesn't happen all that often. And we are at the 1 hour and 17-minute mark. I think I'm going to keep going. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to keep it going till about the hour and a half point. So we've got about 12 plus minutes left for any last minute questions, comments, suggestions, or anything any of you might want to throw out. And I think, oh, good. I still got some coffee left. But not surprisingly, it is pretty much room temperature at this point. I might have to microwave that stuff here. I've got a firearms repair that I'm working on, and this video is going to come up sometime soon here. This is going to be working on an older firearm that actually belonged to my grandfather. So I'm trying to get that thing back into working condition. And with a little bit of luck, I will be able to go out and test fire that today. Although I wonder what the temperature is looking like at the moment. Okay, for some reason, there we go. Looks like our current temperature is 25 degrees, 25 and windy, which does not sound like something I'm real eager to go out into, but I might have to. Pardon the pun, I might have to bite the bullet and go out there today so I can get that test firing done. But anyway, watch for that repair video coming up soon. Are you interested in the new PPK with threaded barrel? No. I'm sorry. I saw that and I thought, oh no, now we're going to try to make the PPK a tactical PPK. Next thing, somebody will be putting suppressor height sights on it. And I don't know. No. That's just a classic handgun. I like it in the classic design. Now I know for the James Bond fans out there that want to be able to screw a suppressor on or something like that, that's cool. But no, I have no interest in that. Probably the one that interests me a little bit more, and I don't know if I'll end up with one of these or not, is the new PP that they have reintroduced. That looks kind of cool. So of the two, I would probably lean toward the PP before I ever even thought about the PPK with the threaded barrel. Scott from South Carolina, is your folding AR your backpack gun now, or the Keltec? It depends on what I'm doing, where I'm going, what my depends on a lot of different variables. I might have either one of those just depending on where I'm going and what I'm expecting when I get there with regard to population, threat potential, things like that. I like them both. They have slightly different usages for me. If I'm traveling and just going to be staying in hotels or something like that, it's probably going to be the Keltec. If I'm going someplace that's a little bit more purpose oriented, and I originally got that short barreled AR when I was working private security up in Cleveland for my purposes there. So if it's something where I have a higher expectation that if something does happen, that I'm going to have to take some kind of action, then it would probably be the folding AR. Marv Turner, today would normally be a range day for me, but my left leg is giving me too much trouble. I'm sorry to hear about that, Marv. I hope that gets better for you. Henry Schmidt, what do you think of the new rage of OEM comp to CCW pistols? uh, some some lures are made to catch fish. Some lures are made to catch fishermen. I don't know really what that does in terms of practical performance. It might improve somebody's shooting on the range. I suppose if it gives somebody more confidence in their shooting skills, it might be a good thing, but it also strikes me as a little bit silly, especially with a 9 millimeter. I mean, we're not talking about all that much recoil or blast or anything in the first place. Three Jeep Discovery, lever action or single shot for old school nostalgia? Probably lever action, just because it goes back to my youth watching all the. It was the 1970s when I was watching TV, but I was watching all the old westerns from the 1950s and 1960s, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, all those kind of things. So probably the lever action. Although I really like the movie Quigley Down Under, so there would be one in the that would be in the category for the single shot. Saul Rosenberg, good morning. Any thoughts on the Mac 1911 JSOC 45? Yeah, my thoughts are I'd like to have one. I really like my Tizosh 1911s, as most of you know, and that's one I think would be just a great carry gun for a full size 1911. And if I ever get the chance, I'm going to snap one of those things up. Jeff Tim, still think the Turk clone industry missed a lot by not running the Beretta M70 series of SA pocket automatics. Actually, they who was it that's making one? Oh man, I had one of them here that I reviewed. I think is it Gersan? I think Gersan is building one. Mr. Goldenrod, do you carry a handgun while hunting? Sometimes I'm hunting with a handgun. If not, probably not. I mean, if I'm hunting, I've already got a firearm with me. So I probably am not going to be taking a handgun with me. Chris 1911 is bowing out. Thanks for joining, Chris. Have a great day. The rifleman could shoot fast, at least in the opening scene. And somebody I remember seeing Chuck Connors interviewed one time where he was talking about that opening scene, and they had to film it a number of times because he talked about how many blank cartridges he had to fire over and over and over again until they had it just right. Um, but it was a ton of them that he shot. Slippin' Jimmy, just watch Cahill again. Can't go wrong with a cowboy classic. No, I agree. Yeah, that's what I was thought. It was the wait a second. Okay, Gerson is an 84 clone. All right, sorry. That's what I was thinking of. And we are coming down to the wire here. We got about 5 minutes left and 35 viewers. And I was not watching the ticker, so I don't know what our high water mark was in terms of the number of you that chimed in or that tuned in. But I'm glad for each and every one of you that was here. And I'm trying to think if there's any last minute announcements I want to get in today. Nothing I can think of. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving last week, by the way. Um, we actually had multiple Thanksgivings here, and I think a lot of people probably are in the same category where for one time we were over with my family, we got together, and then we were here with Mimi's family and my daughter and son-in-law, or my son and my daughter-in-law. That's probably not the right order. Anyway, we all got together, so that was cool. I had the kids decorate the Christmas tree the other day. That was fun. And of course, my daughter is home from school. My son is a full grown adult now. But it was fun to have them decorating the Christmas tree again. I was trying to keep Chewy away from the Christmas tree so he didn't knock it over, and we did not have a Christmas vacation experience while that was all going on. Mark Hankins always thought Chuck Connors was a Marine veteran. Actually, he was U.S. Army. I didn't know that. Uh, if I ever did, I'd forgotten it. Marty Neff, thank you for all the shooting tips and tactics. I was a firearms. I was out of firearms for 29 years. You helped me out a lot. Good. I am glad that that's one of my favorite things about the channel is being able to pass on that information that I've been able to acquire over the years, and to any degree that I'm able to help anyone out or provide any kind of knowledge, I am happy to do that. Haley Music, you're signing off. Thank you for joining. You have a great day too. But let's see, anything else? I don't know. I think I'm running out of topics here. So we're a little early, hour and 27 minutes, but I think I'm going to start to wrap things up. Scott from South Carolina, aren't most defensive shootings at close range and just a few shots. I produced a video a while back, and I called it something like vital statistics or shooting statistics or something like that. The thing that I don't like about a lot of those ideas that are floating around out there is I think they're all based on a tiny, tiny sample size. Or in some instances, I think they're just plain made up because somebody likes the way this or that sounds. The closest thing to any kind of statistic that I think you can hang your hat on are the FBI statistics for law enforcement officers shot and killed in the line of duty. But that only applies to law enforcement officers. That doesn't take in all of the non-law enforcement defensive firearms uses that occur throughout the country. And I don't think there is no database. It does not exist anything that takes into account everything for everybody. At best, we get these little sample sizes, and I say little. There might be a lot of examples in there, but it's still tiny compared to everything. And then if we try to extend that back for years, if we try to look at a 10-year period, there's just no database for that. So people come up with this thing like 3 shots in 3 yards in 3 seconds or whatever, based on what? Whenever you hear a statistic like that, and I say this because I've seen this happen. I have seen people look at a statistic and decide that's not eye-catching enough and inflate it because that's going to be a bigger impact. And I've never done it myself, but I've seen it happen. And I know it happens other places. When you hear these things where, 7.6 million people experience blah, blah, blah every 10 seconds or whatever, my first thought on that is, let me see the raw data. Let me see where you got that from. I don't want to hear that I extrapolated it from 15 seconds worth of data and decided that's what it was for an entire year or an entire 10 years or something like that, because maybe that 15 seconds just happened to be the time that happened the most. So I really don't like those. I say prepare yourself as well as you can. Shoot at all different distances, shoot under as many different circumstances as you can, from as many different positions you can. Practice drawing and shooting, practice shooting from behind cover, practice moving and shooting, all those kind of things, because you never know exactly what circumstances you might find yourself in. And even if, let's say for a moment, the 3 shots in 3 seconds from 3 yards is the average, or is the most common, or whatever. What happens if you find yourself in an unaverage situation? Maybe you're the one that's outside the average. All of a sudden you're shooting from 10 yards because you've got somebody that's attacking a family member 10 yards away and you're trying to stop that person. Or maybe a vicious animal is attacking a family member 10 yards away or 15 yards away or whatever. And you've only ever practiced from 3 yards or back to 3 yards or back to 5 yards or whatever. Now you've got to take a 10-yard shot, or you got to take a 15-yard shot or something like that. I wouldn't want to see someone under prepare because they feel like they've had to conform to a parameter that was potentially artificial in the first place. Sorry, I got on my soapbox there for a minute. Chris M. Mark got me thinking about veteran actors. I wonder what Harvey Keitel gun channel would be like. He already reminds me of Jerry Michalik. How's the Cerakote finish on the Tizosh holding up? I would show it to you if I wouldn't get booted off of YouTube, but it's holding up very well. It shows, I assume you're talking about the Raider. It shows some sign. I mean, you can see some finish blemishes on there, but not anything that concerns me. I think it's held up quite well, truthfully. Lies, bold-faced lies, and statistics. Yep. Well, I simply tell the aggressor, "Excuse me, sir, the FBI states..." Yes, you are not fighting properly. You need to stand within 3 yards, and you need to allow me 3 seconds to fight. Yes, yes. Elisha Dickens, 14 rounds at 40 yards and closing. Yeah, and that's another one of those things. Not all those shots, when that first came out, it was portrayed as though he fired all those shots from 40 yards away. And actually, that's not the case. He was actually moving and shooting, where once again, somebody looked at that and all of a sudden people were out doing the Dickens drill. Remember that? Everybody on YouTube, well, not quite everybody, but everybody on YouTube was out doing the Dickens drill to see if they could replicate. Now, when you think about the circumstances he was actually in, I think that's vastly different than somebody on a range under relatively controlled circumstances trying to do that same thing. But here again, in the end, even that wasn't portrayed the way it actually occurred. Anyway, I have now exceeded an hour and a half, and I think I'm going to start to wrap things up. I want to say a special thank you to all of you. I don't know how many more live streams I'm going to get in before the end of the year, just keeping in mind everything that I've got coming up. And like I said before, Christmas parties and Christmas get-togethers, whatever, all the things that happen in December. But thank you to all of you for all the support over these past 12 years. Thank you for participating in the live streams, for chiming in during the live chats when I have the premiere videos. Thank you for my channel members and that monthly contribution you make. I absolutely positively value that. In November, coming into this month, actually up until the last couple of videos that I uploaded, YouTube had demonetized 7 out of 10 consecutive videos that I uploaded during the month of November, which was virtually the entire month of November. So my channel members, when I get into those periods and the videos are not making any ad revenue, my channel members are invaluable. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know I do a terrible job trying to give you any kind of perks and any special insider things and everything. I apologize. But I really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you, my channel members and all my subscribers, all my viewers who are not subscribed, even though you just not just, but you're chiming in and watching the videos and commenting on the videos and all that. Thank you to all of you. Have a great day. If I don't get in again with a live stream before the end of the year, have a great holiday season, a great Christmas season to all of you who celebrate Christmas, a happy Hanukkah to everyone who celebrates Hanukkah, and whatever else anyone might celebrate. Have a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thanks to all. Take care and bye bye for now.